Well, good afternoon. Pastor Greg here, Faith Lutheran Church here in Harvey. It is Thursday afternoon that I'm recording this. I normally do these on Wednesdays, but we had a leadership meeting last night, and I just wanted to confirm a couple things before I shared what was going on here at Faith as we continue to move forward in this process of reopening. But there's a couple of things that I need to just touch base on before we get there. First of all, I understand that some of you have received texts it appears to come from me asking you to go buy gift cards and send them to people. Or send them to them, or whatever it is. These are scams, and they've been going around for years, and they do oftentimes select a pastor and use his name and send texts out to people that would be in their realm. Now, I'm not sure how that all works, but what I do know is it's a scam. I don't want you to ever go out and buy a gift card to send to somebody. We would handle that in a much different way. So please just ignore all that. Beautiful day today. I mean, this is just gorgeous. 70 degrees. The sun was shining, although some clouds have moved in. I understand there's a chance of some rain this afternoon. We could use some rain. Definitely. Use some rain. Help those crops that have been put into the ground begin to sprout up and keep them going along the way through the summer. So keep all that in your prayers as we move forward. I understand there's still planting going on, so we want to keep prayers for those who are planting and those as they continue in this process of using God's creation of the land to produce God's creation of food. So that's quite a deep thing sometimes when you stop to really begin to think about all the process that it takes for that to happen. In any case, so we've been meeting in person here at Faith for a few weeks. I think it's been 3 now. And we've been following state guidelines for our seating. And we have kind of continued to do those things that we do on a regular basis. We do offer communion still, and we do sing songs here during the Sunday. You're welcome to join us. If you are not feeling well or if you're concerned about your health, please, at this point, just continue to stay put. Continue to watch us on our YouTube channel as we will continue to stream that, or you can watch it a little later if you miss it, which is a great thing, especially when the lake season's starting up here. You're welcome to watch those anytime that you wish to, because they stay there. We don't delete them. In any case, I think the biggest change that you'll see this Sunday is that the governor has relieved the restriction of every other row seating. And so what that means is that we can sit in any row we want. But on the other side, we still want to try to maintain some kind of physical distancing as we continue to worship. We can seat 75% of our capacity now, and that would be literally we could seat about 175 people then. So that's 150 people. What am I saying? 107. Doing bad math here in my head. 150 people, but that's fine. So keep that in mind. Just because we can do that doesn't mean we have to go crazy about it. So, and that's what we want to do. So continue to follow all the protocols. If you want to wear masks, you can wear masks. They're not necessary. We don't require them. It's all up to you. So that's really about the only change as we move forward. We'll still do communion in the same manner. We'll still take time to do those things that we normally do. Lord's Prayer, confession, forgiveness, creed, songs, fellowship afterwards for a little bit. I'm again trying to stay as distanced as possible, as well as there will be no coffee yet and or any treats at this point. I'm not quite sure how we'll reintegrate those into the process as we move forward. So in any way, that's where we are with that. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else that we needed to really touch base on. I'm going forward. I don't think so. Today, this Sunday, just so you know, is Trinity Sunday, where we celebrate the single name of the Lord in its three dynamics. And there's no way that we can really ever describe the Trinity without walling into ourselves into a heresy of some type. And so it's really a difficult theology to understand. But to know that the three are one and the one are three, and just accept that there's something about that makes it work is really the way that I approach it. We could argue about these things for a long time, and we could just keep beating ourselves up trying to figure it out. And I think that this is just a good place for us to start. And I have to admit, as I began my process this week for my message, I wasn't really sure which way I was going to go. I'm still kind of batting around a couple of different things. I don't have something set in stone. That's not rare for me by Thursday, but it is where I am, and I'm still just kind of, like I said, there's a couple of avenues I'm pointing towards, but this week we hear the entire creation story, the entire of chapter 1 of Genesis, and then we tack on a few verses of chapter 2. But I guess one thing that just is a path that I always like to follow, and a path that I would want you to think about, is that God created. Why did God create? Well, God created because God wanted to create, because He loves us, because He is God and He can do it. Now, we don't need to understand that, and I don't think we ever will understand it until we return to Him. But at this point, we don't know, and I'm happy with knowing that God created, because I'm here because God created. Which reminds me to tell you that God created you as well, and a place for you to live here in this world. God created food for us to eat. He created sun and moon cycles where we could sleep and wake, work in the day, receive the goodness of the sun, receive the goodness of the quiet of the evening. All of this creation works together. It's just mind-boggling when you really start to think about, why does this happen when it happens? Why is it that we and how is it that living in South Carolina, the yellow pines would release their pollen, and it's very yellow, it's very thick, and sometimes it was so thick it would be like you're almost walking indoor driving in a fog. But how does that pine know when it's time to release its pollen? And that's an interesting thing to me. And of course, we know a lot more, farming, temperature, soils, moisture content, germination rates, all those things. We know those things, but we can only measure them. We don't really know how we get them, and that's where I am. But on top of all of these things that I'm telling you today, God created, and what He did was He called creation good. But when He was completed, and man and woman were completed, it was very good. And then He rested. He rested. You think God was tired from creating all this? I don't think so. I think He probably could have been going on and on and on. God rested in the glory of what the creation was. And we're called to do that same thing, to rest in the glory of what creation is, and to remember that we are not just good, but we are very good. I don't know if that's the direction I'll take on Sunday or not. You'll have to come find out, watch the live stream, watch later to find out what I actually talk about. Sometimes surprised at the paths I take. In any case, prayers this week, we need to continue for prayers of healing people, of the caretakers, but we really need extra prayer for peace and understanding. There's no way for me to approach this subject without upsetting somebody. But the idea is that if we all love the Lord our God who created us, is that we are also loved by that same Lord. And then we're called to love our neighbor as ourselves. And the best way to love our neighbor is not just to accept that they're there, but to get to know them, to talk to them, to find out what their problems are, to find out how we can help them, if we can help them. Now that sounds easy, but I know it's hard. But that's where we really need to be. That's where we really need to pray. So pray for your neighbors, but especially the neighbors who are less fortunate, that are stuck in situations that they can't get out of. Be with them and pray with them and guide them and lead them. So, that's where our prayers should fall today. Just praying for peace, understanding, and love of our neighbor. Well, thank you for hanging out with me for it looks like 12 minutes now, according to the recording, which is way longer than I usually do. Well, I wouldn't say way longer, but it is. So thank you for joining me. Blessings to you this day, and I look forward to the day where our paths will cross. You all take care now.